Hello, Nate here with the Volunteer Tech Vlog on the Live Sound 101 YouTube channel, and wanted to make a little vlog video this morning as I drive about, the results of the ministry fair last weekend. So we had a ministry fair where people could walk around at the church and see all the different committees and teams and basically boards, well, maybe boards isn't the right term, but basically all the groups on campus at the church where they're looking for volunteers. So media team had a booth. I was there talking with people, and we had a little sign up sheet for people that were interested in doing slides or audio. We also kind of advertised the third position of a broadcast tech, if you will. So we also had that advertised, but nobody really asked about that, and I think people just don't really understand what that really is, and it's hard to explain it all. But the good news is we did have 6 people sign up to express interest in joining the team. So that was really encouraging. So now in this video, I basically want to brainstorm what our onboarding process should be, what that should look like, because somebody thinks in their mind, I think I could do slides and like format all the slides and the lyrics and the power, essentially they think PowerPoint, because we use a program called ProPresenter, but when somebody's brand new, they just think, oh, you guys must use PowerPoint, right? And I'm like, well, not really, but close. It's essentially it's a program that is very similar to PowerPoint, but designed for presenting content in front of churches. Excuse me. So what should our onboarding process look like based on somebody coming in brand new? How should we do that? So I want to talk about that this morning as I drive in. And congratulations to Josh and to Kate, their little baby girl that was born. So that was some big news. Josh is one of the guys I work pretty closely with, and at the church, and they just had their first child. So that was that was big news for those guys. And congratulations to the family there. So excited to meet little baby there. I won't mention names because I don't know. People are sensitive sometimes about like putting your name out there in public, so I won't mention names. But I mentioned Josh's first name a lot. He knows who I'm talking about. So now that we've collected the names of these 6 people, we got their email addresses, and as they were signing up, I kind of made a note. Hey, are you more interested in doing kind of like video and slides or audio? And so we had 2 people say they were interested in audio, and we had 4 people say they were interested in video and slides. And so I think the next step is honestly conveying to those 6 people the time commitment and the importance of the commitment, and just how it's kind of different from a lot of other places you can volunteer. Like, you could be an usher, you can volunteer in the nursery to watch kids, you could volunteer to do like the coffee ministry or the hospitality ministry. And I think in people's minds, they kind of like just think of media as kind of just another thing that you can do. And I don't mean to, detract from all those other things, but there's something about, there's a certain pressure involved, and there's a certain sense of responsibility when you're doing the media that may not be in all those other places where you volunteer, where if you don't show up in the morning and you miss it or something, you skip out on coffee hour, well, that's a bummer, and some people don't get coffee. But if you skip out on doing audio, people can't hear the service. So there's just like a different nature to the type of volunteering and a different type of commitment. So when you volunteer to do audio or slides, there's an expectation that you show up early on Sunday morning, 7 a.m. At minimum, before the 8 a.m. service. So you're there an hour early to set up and prep and make sure everything's right. You're also expected to stay for both services. And I think and we do that because one person does the prep for that week for slides and for audio, and to transfer that and pass the baton to somebody else for second service, it's not as if that's impossible to do, but it just, based on the numbers of people we have, it just makes more sense to do both. I mean, if we had a larger number of volunteers, we could certainly do something like that, but we're at this point here where we don't really have enough volunteers to, have 2 techs for slides on one Sunday and 2 techs for audio on one Sunday. Maybe we'll get to that point and we'll consider that. So there's that expectation that you show up an hour early and you stay for both services that I don't think those 6 people know yet. I think some of them do, but not all of them. And then there's also another expectation. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Ooh, man. Excuse me. Maybe I should edit out those sneezes. I don't know. Tractor Supply Co. That place just opened. Brand new Tractor Supply right there. That'll be convenient. So I was talking about the expectations. I talked about showing up early, staying for both services. But in addition to that, the person doing slides really has to do some coordination and prep before Sunday morning. I know, whether that's Wednesday night or Thursday night or whatever, you've probably got to spend at least an hour or maybe 2 just kind of going through the songs, coordinating with the worship leader, making sure the lyrics that you're planning to present match up with the version of the song that the worship leader's singing. You've got to make sure the slides are formatted in such a way that it's easy to follow and easy to read, and where those line breaks is actually where the lines break is actually very critical to being able to easily read the words and show them up, on the screen, so they're large enough to see at the back of the room. There's text size you have to be considered with. You have to consider or be concerned with. And then for the audio person, you've also got to show up for a midweek rehearsal. I mean, if you try to just do everything Sunday morning, if you've been doing it for a while, you can get away with that. But if you're brand new, you've got to come either to a Wednesday night or a Thursday night rehearsal and just get the audio system up and running, get all your XLRs and DIs patched into the system. You've got to get your mix started, create a rough mix, and start getting levels good in the different mixes that you've got to set up for Sunday. So there's a fair amount of time involved in that, and it's technical. It's not necessarily something you can do super quick. So that's kind of the general onboarding process. That's like step 1 is communicating the commitment level. And then after that, you see who's still there. And if there's any volunteers that are left after that, then you start saying, okay, well, let's start the shadowing process. So what we've talked about doing is doing a shadowing program. So if you're brand new, you will basically sit in a stool or chair behind the audio tech or the video tech and just look over their shoulder. And the more I think about this is when we first started doing the shadowing program, I would basically just invite somebody to shadow for one service. So either the 8 a.m. or the 10:45, I say, hey, you just come on up and sit up there. And what I'm thinking now, that's okay, because that kind of eases them in. But what I'm thinking right now, where we've got 6 people, honestly, I think the best way is to do like a comprehensive shadowing. So don't just shadow for the service, but if you're going to start the shadowing program, we'll crack open the schedule, we'll revise the media schedule, and we'll get these 6 people into the rotation So they start seeing how we manage the schedule, and 2, they're going to start shadowing everything, not just Sunday morning service, but if they're going to shadow, they got to shadow the rehearsal on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or whenever it is, and they've also got to shadow Sunday morning 7 a.m. rehearsal and stay for both services. I think rather than try to say, hey, you pick this Sunday this service, this Sunday that service, and I mean, how long would it take 6 people to actually get, I mean, they'd only be getting an hour in each time they shadowed, basically an hour of shadowing experience or observing experience. But if they do a comprehensive type of shadowing where they're shadowing the rehearsal, shadowing the 7 a.m. Sunday morning and both services, now they're getting quite a bit of time observing, and we're going to see real quick who's cut out for it and who's committed to it, who wants to stick with it. Because if that's too much for somebody, they just won't come back, and they'll shadow once and be done, and they'll get a taste. But I think that's the way to go, to just right off the bat strike while the iron's hot and say, okay, you wanted to sign up for this, this is what that is, here's the commitment, we want you to show up on this day, and we're going to get you into the rotation. So I think maybe that's like the second part of the onboarding process, is to revise the current schedule to include the shadows, and just have them come in once a month. And after 6 months of shadowing, we'll then basically remove you from the shadowing column and get you into the regular rotation, and that should be good. Now, the only thing I can think of is, so with audio, it makes sense to come for the midweek rehearsal and meet up at the church. That makes total sense for audio. But if you're doing slides, the person prepping the slides usually does that at home. That's an important part of the process. So I think that should be part of shadowing. So I think whoever wants to do slides, I mean, maybe you just meet up at a Starbucks somewhere, or a Panera Bread, or a Dunkin' Donuts. But I think that needs to be specially coordinated, just as rehearsal is coordinated, and those two people get together, and one person can do the slides, presenter preparation for the week, and then the new person who's shadowing can just look over their shoulder as they're doing that prep, so they get a taste of what actually goes into it. I guess that could be done at the church during the audio rehearsal, but the thing is, those things don't necessarily have to be related. But you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have everybody show up midweek, and as the band is rehearsing, you can have somebody start running through the slides at the same time. Typically that never happens. Typically the slide prep is done independently, so that those schedules can be managed accordingly. And so it's more flexible for the person doing slides. They don't necessarily have to be at the church, but maybe for training people, it makes sense to have the slides done at the church. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Seth about that. I have to talk to Steve and Jill and see what they think. And we got some stuff we got to work through. So I'm thinking about the onboarding process, but that's like the two big things: is communicate the commitment and get them into the schedule. So I've already, if I had to add another thing before that, it was, figure out what the person's interest is. Are they more of an audio person, more of a slides and video type person? Kind of figure that out. And then once that's figured out, communicate time commitment, get them in the rotation for training and observing. And I don't know, maybe after like 6 weeks or something, we can have like a big all hands on deck meeting with the existing volunteers and with the new volunteers. Just get everybody in the same room and kind of go over some basic process and procedure type stuff. That's something that I feel like our team is really lacking. Like I would love to rally the group and just get everybody in the same room and talk about process, procedure, what we do, maybe make some tweaks to things and everybody's aware of them, maybe hand out some handouts or checklists, so everybody's on the same page. I would love to do that. The problem with that is it's just been a challenge to coordinate schedules, and people are already volunteering, putting in so many hours that it's to schedule another meeting, a coordination type meeting on top of that. I feel like it's important. It'd be great to do, but it just hasn't happened yet. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. So anyway, got thoughts for me? If you've got some comments or suggestions, love to hear them. What would you recommend for an onboarding process to bring new volunteers in? How do you guys recruit new volunteers? What's worked for you? I started making these videos thinking this would be a good way to, train new people. Not so much the vlog videos, but I made a video series called Live Sound 101, and that's how this channel spun off and was started. Right now it's only 8 videos, but it's trying to teach just the basics of live sound. And then along with that, I started doing these vlogs where I could just talk about training and different technical things as I'm driving around in the car. And if somebody was really hungry to learn, they could sit back and listen to all these different videos and learn about all these different types of things that I'm thinking about and learning myself. I always say I'm a lifelong audio student, and always learning something new about production and live sound and pro audio video, and just trying to share that with whoever's out there on YouTube, on the internet, who's also interested in similar things. So all right, merging on to 495 North. You see that big old glowing blob in the background there? It's about time for me to stop this video. Thanks for watching. My name is Nate. This is the Volunteer Tech Vlog. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Really appreciate that. And check out the community on Google Plus if you're looking to connect with other live sound people and share your story. Have a good day. If I could push stop.